Right, so now what I'm going to show you is actually how to create some touch controls in Construct3. Because with Construct3, you can actually put this on Play Store, Google Store, or pretty much all the mobile platforms. You can actually put them on your mobile device. Okay. Now, for your project, obviously you need to create a mobile game. So wouldn't be any good if we didn't have any touch controls. So we need to add some touch controls. How do we do this? Well, first, it does depend on what sort of touch controls you want. Do you want some static controls where you just show one little box as for left, for right, then jump, or do you want the entire screen for left and for right? Okay. Does depend. That's something you have to make your mind up on. However, what I'm going to show is for left, I'm going to have one side of the screen for left, then one side of the screen for right. Okay. Okay. If you haven't already done so, what you need to make sure is that the size of your viewport, okay, is the actual size of your mobile phone. Okay. So the width and the height is the correct size. Okay. Yeah, so before we move on, you need to make sure that your viewport is the size of your mobile phone or the mobile phone that you wish to test your game on. So you need to make sure your viewport, change it around here. Now, I already checked mine, so I have my mobile phone, mine's a Pixel 3a, and my screen resolution is a 1080 by 2220. Okay, so I want to change that, so width 1080 by 2020. Now, you may realise that it has put it into portrait mode, but I want my game in landscape, so left to right, not up and down. Okay, so I need to change these figures around, so 220 by 1080. Okay, and here, that is the size of my screen. Okay. Oh, fuck my itchy nose. So, now that we've done that, now we need to sort of split it down the middle. So one side is going to be left, one side is going to be right. So how do we do that? Double click the background, go to sprites, and we're going to call this left underscore touch. Do that, and I'm going to fill this in, and I'm going to put it to yellow for left. Oh, didn't change. There we go. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to do Right, so the other thing I want to do is actually create a separate layer. So I have a separate layer for my game and a separate layer for my touch control. So how do I do that? Well, if it's insert layer below, and we call this touch. Okay. Now, if I want to add that to the touch layer, so Z order, move to layer, layer touch. Okay. Now, it has disappeared. Okay, because it's behind the white backgrounds. Okay. But if I just move it up for the time being, there we go. Okay, so I can just see it. However, so I can just see it. Right, so that's left. Okay, and then I want to make right touch. So insert new object, sprite, right underscore touch, and let's click make it purple for this one. Okay. Then slightly overhanging, I want to sort of go down the middle. Now, a couple of things I could have done. I could have duplicated it, so learn from my mistakes. That's what I'd say. What you just got to make sure is that they definitely don't overlap. Overlap ridiculously, because what will happen is when someone's playing your game, and if the right, basically if you had your left control over all the way to the right, when they're pressing right, it will actually register as left. So you just need to make sure they don't overlap ridiculously. And if we scooch that, scooch that, scooch that. Now, while we've got this here, you can't see anything. Okay? So we could just, because we just want to visualize it exactly where everything be. So what we could do is change the touch to the opacity levels. So we're going to change the opacity levels of the layer. So how do we do that? Well, click on the layer, down the left hand side, opacity, and if we change that to 25, boom, you still see it, and we can see our background along with it. So at this moment in time, so we can visualize where everything is. Right, so now that you set the opacity levels, what we want to do is that, so when the player actually touches either the left side or the right hand side of either one of these objects, that the character actually moves. Because actually, at the moment, look, if we, obviously, at the moment in time, we'll use the mouse click to symbolize that actually touch, but it's not doing anything. Okay. So how do we go about doing this? Well, first things first. When you want to input a new control, you actually have to do that in Construct3. So how do you input a new control, whether it's touch or actually mouse? So how do you do that? Well, if you double click on the background and scroll down where it says input, so you've got 4 inputs: gamepad, keyboard, mouse, touch. You would have to use a keyboard if you want to input like some other keys like WSAD or any other keys. In this instance, we want to use mouse to symbolize touch. So let's do both. So insert, we've added mouse, as you can see over here. Do that again, and we put touch. Then if we go over to the main game, then what we've got to do is we've got to add event. And so when the left side is touched, we want the character to move left. So if we click on that, then so now we've done the overlay. Now what we're going to do is actually, now that we've added the both mouse and touch into it, we've actually got to change some of the events. So we go over to main game events, and we add events, then we click on mouse for now. You can always change this, not to worry. Click next, so then on object clicked, not on any click, not on click, not on the others, on object clicked. And click that, left click for now, object click. Now this is where left touch. We'll just do the left touch for now. Click done. So on left button clicked on left touch. Add action. What do we want to do? Well, we want to have the character move to the left. So we do player. Then we scroll down to where we see simulate control. Here it is. Yeah, so we want to simulate control. So we don't actually, so simulate to move in left, for example. So simulate control, left control, click done. Now, let's see if that works. As you can see, it does work, but only when it's clicked, not when it's clicked on like hold. So let's see if we can change that. Right, so now we've added the mouse and touch controls into the game, we want to actually have these programmed in. So I need to change the events. So we do that. I said fuck's sake. Fuck. Right, so now we've done the overlay, we need to add some controls into it. Yes, we've already got the cursor keys, as you should have already done by now. However, we want to add a touch control. Okay, so how do we add touch control? Because it's not native, it's not by default done. So if you double click the background, scroll until you see input, and then you want touch. Okay, and I realise that at the moment, if you haven't, I assume you're not doing this on the touch screen, that it won't work. It works with mouse, it's perfectly fine. So if we click insert on that, so this allows us to add touch capabilities into our game. So if we go to, now we want to program these, so we go to main game, add event. Now we want to click on touch, so when the user is touching an object, so the left hand side of the screen, click choose, left touch, we want to actually simulate a control. So when you click on player, and we need to find simulate, and then left simulate. And let's see if that works. Yeah, it does. But do I click on this one? Don't work. Works. Don't work. Works. Don't work. If I just hold it, fall off the screen. Good. Now we just need to do that again, but for the right hand side. Just easily copy and paste. Change. Does depend where you click. So if I click here, you just need to make sure you click on the events. So if I click on the action, I can change that to right. Click on the event, I can change that to the right touch object. And that will work. There we go. Obviously, now we need to add a jump button. Okay? Exactly the same before as you've done any other controls, or sorry, any other objects. Insert new object, sprites, let's call this jump. Now it depends how you want to do this. You might already have some buttons already designed, already done, or got them from some free copyright websites. But I'm just going to draw it in here. As you can tell, it's perfect. Close that. Make sure this is on the right layer. because any object you create when you clicked on the layer, will go to that layer. So I just need to move this. Make sure it's on the touch layer. It is. Okay. Now, considering I don't want this opacity level, what we did before, let's change that back to 100. I can change individual objects down to opacity. There we go. So left hand side, click there, left hand side, opacity. And now this, right, so I need to play this somewhere in the viewport. And let's put this, well, right hand side here. Be fine for now. I can always change it. Now, same before, main game. Now, when it's touching an object, click object jump, done. I want their character to simulate that they're jumping. Let's see if that works. Yeah. As you might have guessed, the issue is that when I click on, because they're on the same layer, it sort of jumps and towards the right at the same time. Don't really want this, we want the jump to be separate. Now, what we could do is just move this to the different layer. Okay. See if that works. Yep. Yeah, still doesn't work. Another way we could do this. Okay, so if we undo that, so that should be on the. Let's put that down to touch. What we could do is, because we don't want the entire screen, we might add a few buttons here later down the line. Main menu might go here. I don't know. We could just do something like this. I can go right, left, and jump without interfering. Perfect. So that's pretty much that's all the controls. But obviously now we want to hide these. So if we put this below, let's see if that still works. Yep. The only issue is because the jump bus is on the same layer as them, it's going to disappear. So we need to make sure change that. So change this back to layer 0. There we go. Obviously it's not known that you could click there and it'll go left and right. You would obviously have to have some sort of tutorial page maybe at the start of the game, or just a pre-warning to let the player or let the user know that the left hand side is left, the right hand side is right. And obviously this is jump. But that's kind of self-explanatory, that button. But that's how you create touch controls for a mobile game.